At some point, we are going to have to do a whole show about how good this show sounds.
All right, everybody, welcome to Local Love. We do the show live on Twitch every Tuesday from 8 to 10 p.m. Pacific and beyond into the post game. I'm producer Dave, and you can find me damn near anywhere. My co-hosts are on, we'll call it San Jose Music Time. So I'm joined by a good friend of mine from the San Jose music scene. What's up, man? Who are you and how you doing?
Hey, I'm Phil. Good, man. How you doing, Dave?
Good. It's good to see you again.
I was digging that song, man. I was like transported to like 93, 94 at the Ajax, the Agenda in downtown San Jose when the big acid jazz thing was the whole thing.
That was Verse. He's the bassist from Rebels Camp, and he took the bass line from I think their song called Lost in the Groove, and then like flipped it around and reworked it as like kind of a little more electronic, a little more like kind of a dance jam. So
nice, yeah, that was cool. Dug it.
Yeah, if you're creating electronic music, it turns out it's also really helpful if you're a bassist.
Well, usually, yeah. I mean, as long as you're pretty well schooled in a variety of instruments, but computers are also very helpful in that regard.
Very helpful. So maybe some of our people don't know anything about you. Can you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself and how you came to be here?
Let's see. I was a drummer in a Colorado-based punk rock band for many years. Was a KFJC disc jockey for about 6 years, disc jockey at KSJO for about 2 years, the big rock radio station back in the day. And, just kind of been part of the music scene. Then I had a podcast based out of San Francisco back in the late 2009, 2010. That ran for about 8 or 9 years. So yeah, I've just kind of been a big part of the Bay Area scene. I always try to support the Bay Area bands and, make sure that people find out about them and, try to give them as much of a platform as possibly can. And actually, the latest thing I've been involved in, and I'm just happy wearing the shirt, is the good old Sofa Music Festival. Now that it's gone virtual, they brought me on board to kind of help with some of the technical aspects of it and stuff. And so we're gearing up to do the third virtual version in April on the 25th. So we're starting to book bands and stuff for that. So it should be a good time.
Hey, Rob Lee D, thanks for the follow. Hope you enjoyed the kitty you got when you followed us. Yeah, that's been it's pretty useful having you not only like just have a basic understanding of computers and how they work, but you also worked in teleconferencing. So you have like a little deeper understanding.
That's what I do for my day job is work in the teleconferencing arena, as it were, and getting people set up with all the various technologies for their people to do that, which has become all the more crucial with the shelter in place and so many more people working from home. And from the sounds of it, a lot of the Silicon Valley companies are going to kind of continue down that track as it is, and there's a pretty high likelihood that a lot of the tech companies in the area are going to end up just kind of being a lot more flexible in terms of their working from home rules and whatnot, and so we have to make sure we have the technologies that are able to support all these people that are now hogging up a bunch of bandwidth with video and audio and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, man. Like, I think people are learning a little bit about their internet provider too throughout all this. They're like, "What do you mean? I paid for 600. What do you mean I have 8 going the other way?"
Yeah, exactly. And that's how the ISPs kind of get you too. Is they hit you with this big download number, and everybody thinks that you're going to have screaming fast connections, which is great if you're like streaming movies, but going the other direction, it's all about upload speed. And if you're getting 600 down, but you're only getting like 8 or 9 up, then you'll have a pretty decent call quality, but maybe not the best.
You'll have a good call quality if it's only you and you're connected via a cable.
Yeah, that is true, and that's the other thing a lot of people don't consider too is all the static and stuff. And it made even. I mean, we're not totally talking about local music, but I mean, it's made even worse by the fact that you have so many people in the household and everybody's connected, and your kids are on virtual, in a virtual classroom, and they're hogging up bandwidth, and your spouse or your partner, whoever, is also hogging up. I mean, it has put a big strain, and we got a lot of support tickets from people just assuming that it was the back end systems that were having problems. And you're like, well, no, it's probably because you and your entire neighborhood are all in the same pipeline, and you guys are all using far more bandwidth than you usually do. And you're just, you're causing a strain at the ISP level. So, I mean, I think some of the companies have done a little bit of a better job in terms of opening up their pipes and stuff, but it's still always a bit of an issue.
Well, I mean, to bring it back to local music too, the challenge that the local musicians were facing on doing any sort of live gig are those same set of challenges, except like the thing is, if you're in like a voice call, like for work, and your audio cuts out for a couple seconds, people can just wait. But if you're playing your song, man, that just disrupts the whole fucking flow, you know?
Yeah. And then your viewers bounce and you end up with nobody. And that's the thing too, is, I mean, I found it kind of interesting here too, considering that, especially with like the Sofa Fest, was that, you have so many bands that are, have been around technology for such a long period of time, and yet they just really didn't have the tools at their disposal to understand what it takes to put out a good stream. And you're right. I mean, if you don't have that quality of stream, if you don't have a nice picture, if you don't have decent sound, you're going to lose viewership. I mean, people will get frustrated. And so it's important to kind of understand what the limitations are and what you can do at the home level to kind of combat that in terms of what kind of gear to get and things like that, and so many people think it's just as simple as just calling into a Facebook Live thing on their iPhone and that's going to give them a decent thing, but it's not. I mean, just like going in the studio, it's like there's a reason you don't just set up your analog cassette recorder in the middle of your bedroom and try to record an album, because it's not going to sound very good. You go to a studio so you can have professionals that know what they're doing and can present your art in the brightest light possible.
The flip side of this too is just watching a couple people like figure this out in real time was pretty amazing. Like Sakura was having some problems, and all of a sudden, boom, just perfect. Sweet High now, the Nahal and Austin thing they did recently from home. I know they did one at Art Boutique as well, but the one they did from home, that was real good because they kind of took the time and were running her through a DAW and like.
Yeah. And I think it speaks a lot to, and I'm not trying to demean, musicians that may not have as much of an interest into diving into the technical side of things. I get it can be kind of daunting at times, but I think it does speak a bit to, the group or the person's passion in terms of trying to put out the best product that they can, which I know is kind of a nasty word in music, but it's still, at the end of the day, they put out the best art quality as they possibly can, and I think that's a key thing in today's day and age, because at the end of the day, it can be used as such a great money-making tool, especially until we find out when live shows are going to be coming back, which, hopefully is sooner rather than later. But even so, the live concert landscape is going to be completely different. Even once everybody's vaccinated and stuff, it's going to be a slower ramp up in terms of getting people there. So in the meantime, you may as well try to put out some music and try to generate some income while you're at it, especially if music is your primary source of money.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, some people, like even the lead singers of bands, aren't super comfortable doing a lot of like talking with the audience. And I think like one of the important things, the people that I've seen do pretty well, Chris Sonko, for example, his stream isn't even about music. I mean, it's about music. He plays songs and stuff, but he's got all this other stuff going on. He's interacting with his chat. Sakura was doing a lot of talking with people, reading the chat, reading off messages, answering people. And I think some people, like, it takes a little while to like get used to talking to nobody, kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, but it's kind of the same thing with radio. I mean, radio has been the same way also. Is that you're here and you're there talking into a microphone, and you got no idea who's listening or what the responses are, because you're not getting any kind of instant feedback from the audience. You don't know if they're enjoying what you're talking about. The only way you can tell really is watching the numbers go up and down. If all of a sudden you've got a big peak and now it drops off, then okay, what was I talking about in that time frame to cause people to want to leave? And I think that's a lesson that people are starting to learn in general too, for not just from the music standpoint, but for YouTubers and people who do that type of broadcast. Essentially is learning what kind of content and how long can you hold somebody's attention for. And and like I said, what type of content are people really interested in? Look, are you reaching out to an audience that's bigger than just your immediate friends or your family members and things like that? And that's something I think that's kind of the next step as performers and musicians and whatnot move into this digital realm, is starting to understand a little bit about data analytics and examining the numbers and seeing if you can use those to your advantage.
Right. Like, are you finding, as a San Jose artist, are you finding, like, by looking at things that a lot of people in Colorado are tuned in for whatever reason, are you finding that like your audience, like on the internet, isn't primarily local? That's good information to have. It's not bad or good, or it's just good information to have. If you're like, okay, well, and then that gives you some insight as to maybe why, when you go out and do shows locally, maybe you get not the response you're wanting, because, local scenes kind of develop and have their own kind of feel and whatnot. But then maybe you're less discouraged if you don't get the response you want at the local shows, because you're able to broadcast, record, put it out there, and people in other places, are more interested in it maybe than people are locally. And that's like actually good for somebody who feels like they're not getting the response they need locally, Oh,
totally. And the thing is, I think the music scene, much like the weather, is this tapestry of microclimates, and there are different pockets around the country of different genres. Like, you go out to Sacramento, which is like 2 hours away from us, and they still have a very thriving hard rock, heavy metal scene out there, which kind of faded out here in San Jose. You don't nearly have as much of that. And you might go just different cities around the world, and they have all these like little pockets of things that are really popular with the citizens of that area. And yeah, sure. I mean, you might have a band here that maybe doesn't appeal to the San Jose audience, but if you can open yourself up to more of a global audience, and you might find there are cities around the globe where they're really into what it is that you're putting out there. I found it. I mean, I don't know if I think you may have posted it. Was that what was it called? Radio Garden. So it's that I think you saw that, right? The whole where it's a globe and you just kind of spin it around and there's little green dots all over the place, and you click on it, you can listen to radio from like Zimbabwe. You know, I mean, it's amazing, like how far out you can put your art. You know, I mean, the world is literally your oyster. As cliche as that is, but it's really the truth at this point. You know. No,
I think I don't remember who posted it, but I was commenting on it that I had submitted.
Yeah. I think it was either mine or a mutual friend of ours or something. Yeah.
Somebody we know. But yeah, it's and the like another thing is I think like more of the musicians are going to have a little bit of an understanding of production because they've had to put together something live that doesn't sound like shit. So it's not like they're going to know more than the engineer, but they'll be able to speak a language to some extent that the engineer might understand, where they're not, maybe getting what they want, where they're like, oh, I need a little more of this, or oh, that sounds good, but our sound is this. They might be able to, talk just a little bit more, like fluently to an engineer or producer or whatever too. So,
as somebody who was a previous sound engineer, I think I'd appreciate that a lot more, that they're starting to really learn. Yeah, exactly. Like you say, how to talk that language, which is
shortens interactions, makes better use of time in the studio.
And end up with a better mix at the end of the day, because you're able to really hone in on exactly what it is you're looking for.
Right, and if the engineer explains why they can't do it, you might understand, or why they shouldn't do it. You might understand why. There's all kinds of
the constant battle of, well, the reason they can't hear your vocals is because the guitars on stage are cranked up so much that I don't even have them in the PA, and they're still drowning you out.
Right, I just don't have the wattage to do this.
Don't have the wattage to push.
Or if I turn you up anymore, we're going to feed back, because that's the way microphones and PAs work.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry about the placement of the microphone in the PA here. It wasn't my choice.
Or I also wasn't the person that built the room that's like concrete floors and all glass and brick and all these like highly reflective surfaces.
So I got some new music this week. I got this song called Shelter in Place in Peace from Kevlar Nuckler of Mars Cantina. And they have these cool songs about UFOs.
Nice.
Oh God, I forget the name of the fuck. Now I play the shit out of their music too. Anyway, it's by Kevlar Nuckler. Super nice guy. Been on the show, smokes hella weed, and works out at Laguna Seca Raceway. So we'll rock this, and we'll be right back. Hopefully our friends who are on San Jose Music Time will start showing up. Kevlar Nuckler. The song is called Shelter in Place in Peace. I did not know what to expect. That was super chill. I like that a lot. I think maybe you're muted.
Sorry, I am. Sorry about that. I'm not super well versed in like all the different electronic subgenres, but that seemed very maybe trancey. Is that would that fall into that range?
Trance music is a fucking shit ton faster than that, but yeah, it's like
is it really?
the synth stuff though is definitely like sort of in that with a lot of arpeggios and like pads and stuff.
Yeah. You would think with a name like trance, it wouldn't be very fast.
Yeah, trance is like 140, 145 beats a minute.
Wow.
People on ecstasy, dude. People on ecstasy.
That's also true. That is also true. I can't quite remember my my rave days in the late 80s, early 90s.
We've got Adam Rainstopper in the chat talking about how to get rid of feedback at a venue. He's like, stop cupping the mic, turn down all your stacks. You don't need your shit turned all the way up.
Yeah, the constant battle for us poor sound engineers is constantly like, you don't have to be full blast. We'll take care of it. Don't worry. The PA's got enough power to cover you.
And I think things sound better if more of it's coming out of the PA, if the PA is in good condition.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot to be said, because I mean, I'm in a band now, and I mean, and having been in bands before, is that, I think guitarists really like to have that feel of the air being pushed at them from their stacks, because they're not really hearing it from the mains, and you usually don't turn the guitars super high on the monitors because that can cause all kind of distortion and nastiness. So I think for them, it's like the only real way they can hear themselves to have their stacks like cranked up to 11.
Yeah. Everybody's not rich with in-ear monitors and shit, right?
I know. Most of the gigs I played, I'd be happy if I had a wedge, especially being a drummer. I'd be like, yeah, just point your guitar cab somewhere in my general direction. I'll just play off of what you're playing.
It's like, but dude, I'm playing off of what you're playing. Yeah, what's up, Ghostly Dumpling? Yeah, we're doing a little music talk tonight, rocking some local jams. 10 p.m. Pacific or so, we'll switch over to the regular Insanity probably. Depends on how it goes. Usually it takes 30, 45 minutes, an hour for any of the musician people to show up.
I know this is like dinner time for them.
That's fine. I'm usually eating dinner right now too. I ate a little early though. So if you had to guess, like at this point, because we have a lot, we're starting to get some information, especially about California and the Bay Area. If you had to guess, when do you think like you will start seeing events even with limited capacity?
I'm hoping by mid to late fall is what I think is going to end up happening. And I think it's definitely going to be limited to capacity. I'm guessing the venues will probably have to run at some sort of like 10 to 20%. I don't know how, how they're going to handle like vaccines. There's a lot of talk about whether or not you're going to try to require people to carry a vaccine card with them, which I think is a little not very cool to a certain extent, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I'd imagine that even once the gigs start opening up, they'll, probably still have some amount of social distancing. They'll probably have to figure out some way of like queuing up people to go to the bar and maybe try to keep them spaced out a little bit, but I'm willing to bet that, the venues will be operating at a little bit of a slower capacity, at least for the time being, unless it turns out that in the area that's, we do end up hitting that magic 75 to 85% vaccination number. And then that changes things, so that's going to be the deciding factor as far as I can tell.
Well, I'm glad we live in a place like where we live, because I think more people here are going to be inclined to get vaccinated than like if you were in West Palm Beach, Florida, waiting for your bar to be able to open back up because people got the vaccine.
And the thing is like they're still operating like business as usual. I got a bunch of friends that live out in Florida, and they're constantly talking about how they're driving by places and there's a bunch of people hanging out, and obviously not from the same household, and no masks and whatever. And, I'm not like I'm sitting there keeping tabs on the Florida numbers, but I can't imagine they're too good. But, we'll have to see what happens. I mean, it's like I said, the push on the vaccine is going to be crucial. That's really what's going to be the determining factor in terms of how fast we get back to some sort of normalcy in terms of the music scene. I think the bigger question now is, kind of taking stock of how many venues have actually been able to ride the storm out, because obviously there have been quite a few that have had to basically shutter as a result, or maybe shuttered slightly beforehand because, like Slims that kind of shuttered a little bit beforehand because they were changing their business model basically. But I think that's going to be real. I mean, Ritz seems to be hanging on fairly well. We'll have to see what the other venues down in downtown San Jose look like. San Francisco, I feel like I've heard a couple venues already closed up shop for good. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting few months once things do start to try to go back to normal.
I know there was a couple like semi-famous bars in the Mission that shut down. I know like the Stud shut down during all this, which that really sucks.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, and I hate beating a dead horse, but I mean, I just think I think this whole thing was just mismanaged, so badly from such a wide array of things that, immediately as soon as this thing went beyond 2 months, they should have been putting freezes on rents and leases and mortgages and all that, unless you're able to carry on, but they should have set up a structure in which, business owners that were losing income could at least go on unemployment and at least be able to keep their head above water without having to worry about making payroll and without having to worry about paying their lease and without having to worry about all this other stuff. And they could have just rode this thing out, because once you eliminate all those factors from a person's life, even the paltry sum that you get on unemployment, if all you're worried about is, food on the table, power and water, in most cases, you could probably keep your head above water on what you get on unemployment. But once you start throwing in all the other living expenses, it's really difficult. And I mean, I feel really bad for these venues, because they're, very passionate people and they want to give back to their communities, and they want to give, these artists a place to perform. And, and they, to me, they're the ones that got screwed the most out of this whole ordeal personally.
Yeah, and like it's not like the restaurant industry or the bar nightclub industry was an easy industry to begin with.
It totally. It lives, unless you're a chain, you're living on razor thin margins, and just one little increment one way or the next is the deciding factor between sink and swim, and it is rough for these like independent businesses for sure. Well, hey, look who's there.
Oh, okay. Here we go. We'll add Juan to the scene. What's up, Juan?
What's going on, man?
So we were kind of talking about like what's happening to like local bars and venues and restaurants. And one of the things that introduce yourself. Fuck it. What's up?
Yeah, before I introduce myself, let me give it a shout out to my homie. What's up, brother? What's going on?
What's happening, my man?
Long time no see. And well, basically, real quick, I'm Juan Maserati, keyboard player for Rebels Camp and for Lost Improvisers, and I'm also a fuck up co-host on Echoplex Media, who doesn't have his sound card settings right most of the time, but when I do, they're on point. So
you sound really good right now,
you,
dude. I think you sound great right now, Juan.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we got it all worked out on this end. I have a Juan button I push that puts him from the left channel only to the left and right channel. It's just the Juan button.
The Juan button.
We'll work it out. We'll work it out in a more meaningful way eventually. But I mean, the show must go on. But we were talking about when the gigs start back up, and I feel like everybody's going to want to play, and there's not going to be
enough spaces
for everyone to fucking play, and so people are gonna. It's it's going to be just an amplification of the way it always is. It's like, who do you know, and will they give you the night? And it's like,
right.
Well, I think what's going to be interesting too is, when you have like a club like the Ritz, how soon are they going to be able to put on like national tours, national acts? Because to me, like if I'm a venue owner for a venue that size, honestly, and it may not be the biggest moneymaker, but you're going to have a completely captive audience of people that are just desperate for live entertainment. But meanwhile, you have all these bands that have been struggling locally to stay afloat. So my sense would be if I was Corey at the Ritz, my thing would be, I'm just going to do a shit ton of local music showcases and just fill it up with 5, 6, 7 local bands, half hour each, and just really push the local scene and get some people who may not necessarily go out to see a local band, but because now they really don't have a choice to see a national name act, kind of push them into that direction and expose them to some of the amazing music that we have out here. And we cover every single genre here. So there's something for everybody in San Jose. But that's my soapbox.
That would be, that's actually a great game plan. Game plan's good.
If only I owned a club, then we could put it in action.
Fucking Kevlar from that band, the song we just played, "Shelter in Place and Peace." Kevlar just hopped in the chat, noticed we were playing his music, so hopped in and
right
said
on,
hi.
man. Great track, dude. Dug it, man.
It's super cool, like super trancey and synthy. Like I was digging on it. It had a lot of arpeggios and pads and stuff. And fucking everything was put together pretty well, man. Didn't know what to expect, hadn't listened to it. Usually when we get new music from people I've heard before, I wait to hear it on the show for the first time. So I hadn't heard that at all.
You could start a whole other like reaction. Yeah. Like that's been the
But the problem is these are like all my friends. People are going to be like, oh, what kind of nice thing is Dave going to say about his friend's music?
That is true.
People come here for the other me that doesn't say nice things. They show up for this. They're like, where the fuck did you put our usual host?
Our usual snarky Dave.
So Juan, are you thinking there's going to be like kind of a mad dash and a lot of competition between the bands for like a very few kind of Friday, Saturday night spots at whatever venues are left when we get out of here?
You know, I'd like to think like, you know, there will be a spirit of cooperation between bands and venues, and hopefully with everyone recognizing that that it's going to be a slow start out the gate. And personally, for me, I just want to be able to start visiting the venues and checking out, you know, the bands that I probably never heard before. And that's kind of be my game plan, kind of like a special treat, you know. But I do expect to see some new bands come on the scene, and I'm excited because you know, new ideas, new expression, all that good stuff. It's all a recipe for inspiration.
That's fair enough. I'm just hoping, man. I keep talking about it. I'm hoping that we're at a place where in August, I can fucking rock the shit out of Bike Party. Like one summer event at Bike Party to let everybody fucking cut a rug a little bit. Cause I know like July is almost out of the question. I missed July at Bike Party last year, and like not being at like, oh man, I just hope we're in a spot where even if people have to mask up or whatever, if we can all go fucking rock the Renegade Urban dance floor.
Well, yeah, it'd be interesting to see like what level we have to be at in terms of that for an event like that to get pulled off. You know, I mean, I think as considering Santa Clara County numbers have been pretty consistently on the downside. Yeah, it would be interesting to see what level of their color scale would let you guys do that. You know.
I don't think anybody really thought about Bike Party when they were doing public policy.
Well, no, I'm just saying. Totally. Somebody's all, hey, what about Bike Party?
Great
Where does that fall on your color scale?
like what? They're like, what's that?
What are you talking about? No, but I mean, I just think I meant more in terms of a broad descriptor of what kind of event could be held. Because I know for Sofa Fest, like we're really hoping that by the September edition, we'll be able to do it outside.
Thanks for the follow, Kevlar. I hope you enjoyed that incredibly creepy cat puppet that our one of our co-hosts Matt brought on one time. Thanks for following. Welcome to Twitch, by the way. I think you're probably new to Twitch.
Oh yeah, shout out to Kevlar and Nuckler, man, for sure.
Nice fucking dude, smokes hella weed, I think, and fucking works at the racetrack, dude. Come on, please. And is in a band or three.
Nice, a well-rounded individual. Sounds
true,
like
a true hustle and flow.
A true renaissance man.
But here's a question. I have a more specific question and maybe a proposition of what could be the case. I'm just kind of thinking out the box here, more or less. But would you imagine if if there was going to be a show put together that, apart from paying for admission, you had to present your latest COVID test results to get in. I know it's dicey, right?
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of because I mean, the thing is, like, because now you're treading with HIPAA, you know, and that becomes problematic because technically, I mean, and that's the thing. Who knows? I mean, HIPAA rules might change. For those who don't know, HIPAA is what prevents certain people from acquiring your health information. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's the thing that's going to be interesting with any kind of like public gathering space is like, are they going to require either a negative COVID test within X days or proof that you've gotten both vaccines or whatever? You know, we all going to be carrying a card around that says we're okay.
But for the latter, proof of vaccination, wouldn't that be kind of like, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm maybe just me in my head, but I'm thinking with a lot of money on the line being being invested towards the reviving of the music scene, bands and stuff like that. I would imagine that the backers of any events would want something on that level of, like, ensuring that everyone who's showing up has been properly vaccinated. I don't know. What do you think, Dave? Would you have a problem if you were going to go to a show and the show made a basic requirement of showing proof that you were vaccinated?
I think that's unrealistic at small venues.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a bad idea. I think first of all, it would freak people the fuck out, which is bad. It would cause less. Adam Reenstup was saying earlier in the chat that it would cause, if they even gave you a card when you left that could be proof of vaccination, you'd see that shit all over Facebook groups, and people be like, "Don't! They're going to give you the mark of the beast. It's a card."
Okay, fair enough.
What we got to do is what I think has to happen. I think we're lucky that New York, San Francisco, San Jose, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle are going to have a lot easier time hitting that threshold, because I think there's going to be less people who are against the vaccine here. I'm thinking, we're it's not that there's no anti-vaxxers in these cities. It's just that in these kind of, I guess, industrial cities or cities where, I don't know, maybe I'm just biased and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Oh, shit.
Oh, no. But one of the things I was thinking of, though, too, is, sorry to jump in, but, what kind of liability shields are venues going to have? I mean, can they be held liable if they put a show on and it turns out a bunch of people get sick and stuff? What's their responsibility? Or does everybody have to sign like a waiver when they enter saying, I understand the risk? And
I would love to write the waiver that you have to sign before you go into the caravan.
Because that's true. Because it's kind of like all those memes have been going around. Like, if you've been in the CBGB's bathroom, you're pretty much immune to COVID. Probably same could be said for the caravan to a certain extent.
Oh yeah, for sure. Don't have to write down.
It's the caravan's girls' bathroom. The girls' bathroom.
Yeah, there you go.
The only place the phone number for our show has ever been written was in the girls' bathroom. None of the guys were like, for a good time call.
Nice.
By the way, we have a gentleman that just arrived. Introduce yourself, sir.
I'm Curtis. Curtis of the Highlands.
There can be only one.
There can be only one. Yeah.
Well,
Curtis has the mood lighting going on over there, man. Look at that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to fix my mood lighting.
There you go.
I go for a different color, different background.
You're almost like a Max Headroom. You're like this.
Yeah.
Head on a black
I like the floating detached head look.
When you start twitching and saying paranoia, then it's gonna be.
So we got a request from the man Kevlar in the chat. He sent us some music a couple days ago. This song's by him, and it's called COVID-19. And we're gonna check this out, and we'll come back and we'll do another thing that we'll also call a segment.
All right.
That was COVID-19 by Kevlar Nuckler. It's still going a little bit, but I like that. It's got a little bit of that kind of reggae dub feel to it, and then in the middle it got like super dark, and it kind of came out of that. It's again like kind of synthy and trancey again. Very good shit, Kevlar. Hope you're doing well.
Absolutely fucking well, man.
Hope you're doing well. Only met you a couple times, but always posting fucking spacey ass fucking shit on Facebook. So
yeah, I love that sound, man. Dubby.
Yeah, I dug it. It's a little bit like Off-World, but certainly like more, not more. The synthesizers are in like a higher register than Off-World. The synthesizer, it's all synth bass in Off-World, and the guitars are handling the mids and the highs. But in this, there's more synths up in the mids and the highs, and I like it a lot. It's definitely different than Off-World, but it kind of comes out of the same place, the same vibe. So, Curtis, you had an interesting first 15 minutes on your show today.
You like that one?
I mean, I was like listening kind of while I was working, but yeah, it was a little bit chaotic in the first 15 minutes of your show, I would say.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Basically, I had all giants of our industry in the stream today. So I had the lead singer and guitarist, and basically the only guy in the Toasters, which is they've been going since the mid '80s, right? I had the pianist for the Scatolites, which he joined them in '89 or something like that. And the singer, the main, I think he's a singer or trombone player, I'm not sure, but he's a singer for Bim Scala Bim, which has been making music, ska music on the East Coast since the late 80s. All right. And I had TJ McFall, who's his band is relatively new. They've been around for about 7 years. They're the Barstool Preachers from England. And TJ is the son of Colin McFall, who is, he's from Cockspur.
Oh.
So we have all these guys in the room. And the two guys with the most gravitas, right? You know, the Scatolites keyboard player and Dan Vitale from Bim Scala Bim, they've been hanging out with each other in Panama.
Wow.
So they pick up the phone and they are fucking lit. To the point where they're like goofy 13-year-old kids. You know, like making funny faces in the camera, like, hey. And then one guy's talking and the other guy's like, it's just fucking madness. What's going on? I mean, these guys are like late 50s, early 60s. And they're acting like a bunch of moronic school kids. And it's fucking delightful. It's absolute anarchy. Could not control them because they couldn't even hear what we were saying. They were being so loud and boisterous. They were like, what? Say it again. What? And then they'd hold the phone up to their ear. And you just see giant ear. I think he's saying something. Just nuts. Just nuts.
Yeah. Bob Jips, thanks for the resub. You could spend your money anywhere. I have no idea why you spend it here.
Thank you.
So you should go. You should go back through and like hack out just like parts of them screaming and yelling and pointing the phone at their ear and make yourself a little commercial for the business.
Just the best of the business.
I wasn't sure what was going on when I was like half working and listening to it, but I was like, whoa, sounds like my kind of party. No, but as I was saying, like during your after party, I would melt down if that happened during my show. I would just have a complete fucking meltdown. You take things a little more in stride probably than I do.
Well, it's also like, I think you come from a background of like, let's get deep into a topic. And albeit I love to be deep in a topic, I also like to see chaos. I find it fucking challenging and funny and living in the moment. And to see that type of chaos, it was fucking adorable. It was adorable to see old men act like morons.
What I used to really like when we were doing audio only, actually, is if it was complete fucking chaos in the studio, but then we put out the podcast and the podcast sounded great.
Yeah.
That was like my favorite show, when it was like bongs were being spilled and fucking all kinds of shit was happening, but nobody heard any of it.
One of the things I really wish we had done when I was doing my podcast is to actually have like a second audio channel of the conversations that were going on while we were doing music breaks. A little bit different with you because we all kind of have to mute ourselves and we can't talk because
no, you don't. I can mute you here. If you can cut through the song, y'all can talk over the music.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. I've been trying to be quiet because I was afraid I was going to be talking over the music.
Yeah, I turn everything off here except the music when the music's playing. So,
yeah.
But I think, I mean, and you know, Juan and Curtis have both been on my show. But I think one of the great things was some of the conversations we'd have while music was playing. We would just talk about all these kind of different subjects and stuff, and let loose a little bit more. Whereas my show was a little bit more formatted. So
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty wild, man. That was pretty wild. Loved it. Thank you for having us on, man.
Listen, man, you guys both were always fun to be on.
Yeah, it was super fun.
I was always, I don't know if on your show, Dave, do you have artists that you're not already familiar with?
We've met people for the first time when they came over to my apartment to record a podcast. Yeah, we've met. I mean, we had their music. They had sent it to us, and we were already rocking their jams.
Yeah.
And especially if they were coming on the following week, we'd make sure to rock their jams the week before as much, without just playing their whole album straight out on our show. We'd play 3 or 4 of their songs, whereas any other artist, we'd play 1 or maybe 2 of their songs,
Well, I think for mine, because my show is such an interview-based show, and I always felt pretty fortunate that, because a lot of the bands that I had on were, aside from these guys who I'd known before having them on my show, but I think the one thing I felt really fortunate about was not having a band in there where you couldn't get them to talk when it was time to, to actually have a conversation. Like, I had it a couple of times, but considering my show was on for like 8-9 years, it was pretty infrequent. I was pretty lucky in terms of not having to like extract, conversation out of them, which for a radio person is like just so nerve wracking when you can't get them to actually, talk, especially because, the bulk of the show was talk related. So
when we were having a new band on, if like 3 or 4 of them were coming over, I'd just email them and kind of straight up tell them the deal. It's like, hey, we're trying to entertain. We'd love to have you on, talk to you, have a good time. If any of your band members end up getting too stoned or too drunk, don't talk or are babbling into the mic, we're probably gonna like replace them with one of our panelists and move the fuck on. And I think like when we met new people, there was always kind of a lot of communication going on before we had them on, and I think that really like fixes a lot of stuff, so you don't have to worry about like, here's how the show's gonna go. It's usually pretty loosey goosey, but kind of, keep your eye on the hosts, because they're going to be trying to direct the show. It's just simple stuff like that. It got rid of a lot of potential problems that could have happened, especially with our format and everybody getting drunk and high and shit in the studio.
I mean, my show is fairly formulaic, especially if it was a band on there for the first time, it was the standard kind of, how'd you guys get together? Where'd you get your name? Blah, 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 and then we play their influence, whatnot. Like, I literally had one group that'll remain unnamed that like was upset that I wouldn't actually send them the list of questions ahead of time. Because I had some canned questions, but a lot of times my follow-ups were based on what the person said. I'd try to listen very intently to what they were talking about, and if I came up with like a cool spin-off question,
I'd be like, "Who hurt you?"
Dive in. Exactly, right?
Who hurt you?
I was like, no, I'm not gonna, because I want it to be at least somewhat spontaneous. And honestly, if you took the time to listen to a couple episodes of my show, you'd be able to kind of figure out what the flow was like. You'd be able to sense it. Like, and they gave me a lot of crap over it, and I was like, oh, this ain't gonna be fun.
I think the fact that none of the bands listened to my show before coming on made it so we could get more bands on.
So it was a marketing tool.
I actually had a situation this week I had to deal with. There's anybody who wants to watch this. It's going to be on tomorrow's episode. Let me see. Tomorrow, today's Tuesday. No, it's going to be on Thursday's episode. So there's this band from the East Coast called Inspector 7, right? And I get a call from a buddy that's on that same show, and he says, "Hey man, I don't see the invite up." And I'm like, "Fuck, I forgot the invite." So I go to put up the invite on Thursday night or Friday night, and Facebook was fucked. Their invite function wasn't working that night, and I tried it on 3 different computers and a phone, and I was like, "Okay, well, I guess it's just screwed, right?" So I told him, like, "Hold on, I'm gonna get you an invite." Well, Sunday morning, it's finally unfucked, and I'm on my way to recording. So I'm like, I thumb type an invite, and I send it out. I'm all, "Here you guys go. I made you all admins. Bye bye." Like, I gotta go. And this guy writes back, and we what we do is we set up the show in like a multi-person email, right? To all the guests, like, "Hey, this is the show. This is how it's going to go down. Blah blah blah. Here are the directions." And then I drop the link for the invite. Well, the guy, one of the guys in this other band suddenly starts freaking out. He's like, "What the fuck? My fucking band name is misspelled." "You're an admin. Yeah, you go ahead and take care of it." "What the fuck? I'm not an admin." "Oh, okay. Well, I'm driving. I'm literally driving right now. As soon as I come to a stop, I will make you an admin." Holy shit, you misspelled my name too. What the fuck? I mean, like every single possible thing that could piss someone off, he just took immediate offense to all of it. And my co-host, Brian, was not awake yet, right? So he wasn't dealing with it. So one of the other guests steps in and says, "Hey, buddy, I'll fix it all for you. How do you spell this? How do you spell that? Blah, blah, blah. We'll fix it." Because at this point, he's literally writing and thumb typing in like all cap letters, "I demand that this be changed right now." Like that kind of stuff, right? And I'm like, dude, no one has even seen the invite. It's literally gone from my thumbs to your face.
See, like the way you handle that, it's so easy. You go, "Hey, my artist name is misspelled. This seems like my kind of party because everybody's screwing everything up." So, but
Exactly.
here's how you spell my band name. When you get a chance, can you fix that for me? Oh, this invite live right now? Oh, here's my website. Like, it's so easy. Like, and I'm a dick.
Yeah.
I'm a dick.
I confirm.
I like how Curtis is wondering.
Thank you for enjoying it. I mean, really getting into
it.
Dave can go in if we've had
misspell my
episodes
fucking-
where
If you're just doing like a fun thing and you misspell my fucking name on it, could you imagine? Rebels Camp, they spell it with a C and a space. Could you imagine fucking G Willikers or Maya like fucking just freaking the fuck out on them? They go, hey, big homie, or hey, friend, here's how you spell our band name. Sorry, we didn't tell you.
Yeah. So this clown, he keeps going off. "I demand this and I demand that." And then once this other guest fixes it all for him, he does not stop. He starts complaining to all the guests, but in personal DMs. Like who is this clown that's fucking with us and fucking with our name and blah, 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 blah. I take this seriously. This is bullshit, right? And so I'm like, "Hey, I just came to I just stopped driving the car, and I was like, sorry, I haven't had time to deal with this, but I'm running into a recording session. So I hope that our other guest was able to help you with that. Thank you very much for stepping in, blah, blah, blah." He replies back with a 2-page, like, massive bio, like small text. And he says, "I demand that you read my bio and learn everything about me. You're not just talking to a band member. You're talking about a band member that's been on a famous movie soundtrack." And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, seriously. He's like,
start calling him like, think of famous movie composers and just start referring to him. Be like, "Oh, is your name spelled like?" And you're just like, like Mannheim Steamroller. Is your name spelled like?
Well, that he made it. His band made it onto a Scorsese soundtrack.
That's cool. Be like, "Is your name Martin Scorsese? Is that how we spell your name, sir?"
Yeah. So it is big. It is big, but he made it on because one of his fucking people that Scorsese hires to find good music found something that they liked about that song, and the song wasn't even theirs as fucking cover. So like, it's killing me, right? So I'm like, okay, the dude will tire himself out. Well, I wake up to a barrage of emails from all the other guests, and they're just like, "This dude, like, well, I'm not going to show up to the show if this dude's on the show." Right. So,
you could have pulled a fast one on him, and I could have made a fake Facebook account. You could have swapped me in, and I could have told him what a dick he was for an hour.
Dude, he needed it. He needed it. Well, anyway, here's the deal: as I finally said, okay, enough is enough, right? And I made a call out to one of his friends because I know some people on the East Coast that are friends with his. But while I was waiting for that call, I sent an email back, and the email says, "Dear so and so, you have obviously not taken the time to watch any of the episodes, and you care not to badger, harass, and harangue my guests. At this point, I'm deciding you need to decide." I said, "You need to decide if this show is right for you, because I am ready to find another guest."
Woo!
In a heartbeat. Here's an episode. I suggest you watch even 5 minutes of it and you'll get it. And he wrote back all like tail between his legs, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought this was like a big, like, interview thing. And it's just like, you're just like a band member. And like, oh my God, I just take this stuff way too seriously. And then I got the call back from his friend, and his friend was like, oh, dude, you got the same thing that he gives a lot of people. And it's because he has learning disabilities and frustrations with life, and his family was really shitty to him and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I got it. Now I'm dialed in. He can be on the show on Thursday, but I have my fucking finger on the delete button. So it's going to be wild. Thursday's going to be a wild show.
No, you have like, you're going through and doing this kind of work that I could never do. Maybe
Yeah.
Media Wench could do this kind of work, right? Where you're like booking all these guests for your show 4 days a week.
Yeah.
I mean, your show's an hour. My show, I mean, who knows what time I'll get off of here. Like, if the fucking people keep throwing money at me for no good reason, I'll fucking do this shit till 6 a.m. But, but it's different because like this is an open panel. Sure, anybody could join, but if somebody's a fucking asshole, we're just going to be like, Chad will fucking veto them or whatever, right?
To the lobby with you.
To the lobby, fuck the lobby. I'll fucking kick them off of OBS Ninja, and if they come into Twitch to complain, I'll time them out so they can watch but can't chat. What are you talking about?
You're going to blacklist their IP address, MAC address.
But no, it's hard to do that. We were doing that once a week for Local Love, having a band in every week, or having, if we could, like a music journalist, or okay, we never had a music journalist in, but that was one of our dreams. Okay, like don't judge me. And that was like really hard for us to keep track of. But you're doing that, even though people aren't there with you, you're doing that every fucking day, or like 4 out of 7 weekdays. Do you have like a
death wish? Yeah.
No, do you have like a workflow you could share with everyone?
No, it just hit me like over the Christmas break when everyone's like, okay, you can't see your families, and like you're just all stuck at home, and like I guess it sucks to be alive. You're a human being and just waiting for your own demise. Like, keep staring at that fucking wall and keep watching those Lifetime movies that make you cry. And over Christmas break, I was like, man, I got a little bit of extra time. Like, because I've had no time ever since the COVID thing happened. They've been fucking double working me at home now, right? So I took all my work home, and I do fucking blah blah blah, email all day long. So I didn't get the chance to have like a full emotional breakdown like everybody did. So here I am on Christmas vacation, and going like, wow. I'm not having a full emotional breakdown, but yeah, this kind of sucks. Like, not having anybody to spend time with, just like staring at the wall. I mean, I got my girl, I got my dog, but that's it. And I've been with them for a year now, like completely shut off from society. We're on a desert island, right? I
saw your pupper earlier. I mean, your pupper's nice, and I've met your girl. She's good too, and I follow her on Facebook. And it's like what I like about your girl is it's like a ray of non-self-serving positivity in my feed, right? Because there's one thing I fucking hate is self-serving positivity, where somebody's telling you to love the world, but they're doing it so that you think they're nice.
Yeah. Look at my tattoo of Namaste. No, so the whole concept is that during Christmas I'm looking at the wall, just wondering what the fuck is going to happen the next 48 hours, 72 hours that I have until I have to start working again. And I was like, you know what? I bet you that every band member out there is really feeling shitty right now. And I have just literally my friend list is like 3,000-4,000 people, right? And of those 3,000 or 4,000 people, I've maybe 200 to 500 people are not musicians, right? So I figure if I just email everybody, there's going to be people that say no, but a lot of them are going to say yes. So I've had like 3 people say no out of all those people.
What we got to do, we got to have the business takes over Local Love.
That would be sick. Yeah, that would be sick.
You get the most tech savvy of your people in the ska scene, the ones will have no problem with this thing, and then you just host the fucking show.
Yeah.
It'd be super cool. The people in my audience would be super confused because there'd be no Dave, no Media Wench, probably no Juan Maserati, no Matt, no HK. They'd be hella confused.
Well, you know what we could do is have a bunch of local bands, right? Actual local bands for local love, and then I could be the host, and you guys can be also a guest podcasters.
We should probably let Curtis actually plug this because he hasn't really said what it is we're talking about. I don't think.
My audience doesn't go anywhere near Facebook, but yeah, no, I like your show though. Your show's really good. What's it called? And people can catch back episodes on YouTube, right?
Yeah. Well, I got them on YouTube, and I got back episodes on a personal, a business Facebook page for the show. And what I do is. So the show is the format is 1 hour, but there's about 2 or 3 minutes of lead-in time because nobody pops into the room at once, so we kind of give them a little bit.
Just play
of time.
the roughies during that time.
Yeah,
That's what we do.
And then, we pre-show banter is key too. So it's kind of like an Easter egg for people that want to see the show on the day of. And then afterwards they can see the rerun, but it's got all the pre-show banter cut and all the post-show banter cut. So basically what I do is I let them hang for about 3 minutes, and then I do an official opening like, hey, welcome, blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, I'm like, thank you very much. Hey, it's been blah, 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 blah. And then, then we go off the air. But that night, and I'm doing this right now in the background, by the way, that at night, I basically just edit the fuck out of the show and put an actual show beginning and a show ending, like a song and a dance thing and a song and a dance thing. And then edit out things. And then if they say something funny that's really media related, I'll throw in a picture or I'll throw in a song in the background or something like that kind of like lightens the mood a little bit. And then that's it. And then I just post it, and it's like, if you want to see it, you want to see it. If you don't, you don't. And some of the shows I've reposted, had like maybe a couple thousand hits on the original night of the show, and then they have like only like 40 hits or whatever for the rerun, and some of them have like up to 10,000 hits for the night of the show. And then an additional, like, somewhere between 800 and 1,000 or 800 and 1,500 hits for the rerun. So pretty good.
Those are good numbers.
I think we got to gear you up and roll you into what we're doing here. I'm just telling you.
Like, man, I got the same 17 people every day.
And where I was trying to go with the plug was, so the show is called The Bidness.
Yes.
Phil, I'll be in the host of the show.
And it's Monday through Thursday.
Thank you for the plug.
4:30 to 5:30, correct?
It's actually 4 to 5 on the PM on the Pacific side. Yeah,
I got you, Curtis. I got you.
Yeah. But here's the crazy thing is and I think I may have brought this up before, but I'll bring it up now. There's a secret deviant desire that I have that's actually the catalyst for this whole show, right? So on the surface, I am reaching out to other artists and I'm making them feel relevant for just a moment in their life, right? So it's a public service.
You're not really doing anything. You're just making people feel relevant for a moment in their lives. Nothing.
But I'm making people feel relevant for a moment, and I'm asking them and encouraging them to love being expressive again. That's the core of the show, right? And so then and then the third thing is I get all these people from different bands in one room, and they've never met each other. Sometimes they have, sometimes they haven't, but it's they've certainly in most cases never had a conversation with each other. And then I throw out a bunch of topics rapid fire as someone says something funny, and then it triggers something in my brain. I'm all, yeah, what about that? And then boom, we go into another topic. So that's it on the surface. That's the nice stuff. The wicked thing that I'm actually getting from this is that in my community, in the ska music community, there's a lot of competition. or competition, right?
Competition.
So,
Hack.
oh, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. There's so many of them. Anyway, there's all this competition, and so bands only get other bands to pay attention to them when you're on a special record label or you worked with someone important or whatever, right? So you'll show up to a show with a band that you've played with before, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's you again. Hey, cool. Yeah, nice to see you." And they're like, "Oh, but so and so's here," that sort of thing. And
Rude.
it's really shitty when all of those line up, right? And you feel like the world has forgotten about you, right? So that happened to us, to my band in 2019, and I'm going to be super honest with you guys, and this might hurt because I know that at least one person in this room has a lot of ties in with a certain people that are involved with this. But
Wait, did the media wench used to be in your band?
No.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So in 2019, or actually 2019, the Cactus Club movie came out. That was produced by a guy who was in another band who was friends with my band and shared one of my band members with his band. And he did not mention us once in his movie. Then Matt Kolb, our friend, the drummer that has cancer, asked me to do a benefit for him. I got the club to say yes. I did the promotion for the show, and I did a lot of the wrangling with the bands. Not the initial wrangling. That was mostly done by Andrew. But when push came to shove and someone had to make sense out of it, I was the guy that was calling everybody up and making sense out of it. The Metro covered that show and went down the line of every band saying, "This is the most amazing thing ever." This, because we called it the Cactus Club reunion, most amazing show ever. Here's what I love about every one of these bands, and didn't mention us when we put the show together and we were headlining the show. We weren't even in the fucking article.
Oh.
All right. So that hurt. That was local stab. And
Local hurt is the worst hurt.
Yeah, exactly. No. And I understand for some of those people, they were so captured in the whole, oh my God, this is I haven't seen this band in a million years and and yeah, Monkey's doing it. That's cool. But I want to see these guys.
Right. Here's the band that's been working this whole time. They're almost like background noise at this point.
Exactly.
It's fucked up, but
exactly. So I was like, don't worry about it. On the national level, we're doing fucking great, right? We've been playing punk rock bowling for 3 years. This is going to be the 4th year. It's going to be awesome. And I heard that Supernova, the ska, East Coast ska massive festival, is coming back this year. So we might be getting on that. So what happened is all of a sudden ska was doing really good, and all these bands came out of nowhere. Boom. We want to the next big wave is here, right? So all these bands clamored onto punk rock bowling, and they omitted us, even though we had been playing for the last 3 or 4 years. And It wasn't just omitting us. It was no return of calls, no return of emails. Yeah, we're full. So I was like, okay, I guess we're out of punk rock bowling. Then the Supernova omitted us. And Tim was like, yeah, I think I got an email from you a while ago. And I'm like, no, you promised us that we would be on. And then here's the kicker. Ska in the 90s, the movie came out and mentioned every band on the West Coast except us. So that was 2019 for us. And we were still doing great. Our shows were doing fucking awesome. We were seeing more of a buzz than any time before. But it seemed like there was a man behind the curtain pulling the rug out from underneath us. And there was nothing we could do about it. So COVID hits, and all of these festivals go down. Boom. Everything done. and I start getting apologies from the guy from Supernova. I get apologies from the guy that did the movie, and I didn't push them for an apology. I just like showed up and I was like, "Hey, it's great to see you." That was it. And then a couple weeks later, they call back and they say, "You know what? I'm really sorry I missed you. After seeing your band, it was life. Like, I feel like an idiot for not including you." And I was like, okay, well, at least, I get some personal gratification, but it's not really about personal gratification for me. It's about the fact that I have been in this band for 25 years, and there are other band members that have been in it for 24 years, okay, or 20 years. And for me as a band member, to show up to a practice and say, yes, we have missed another mark, is like me saying, oh, by the way, you have dedicated 1/4 of your life to this project and it means nothing. That's how heavy it is.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I don't care. Like I could go when I die, put me in the fucking dirt. It doesn't matter. There doesn't need to be a parade. There doesn't need to be a gravestone. You know what I mean? But I feel like an asshole for wasting other people's time. So anyway,
that's so unfortunate, because you guys have been such a mainstay in the San Jose scene. It's like, I had no idea that what had happened with the Metro, and honestly, now that you bring it up, I am shocked that you guys weren't in Rock the Block. Yeah, that's a pretty major omission in my book, because you guys have been there since the whole start of the freaking Cactus Club. You know,
well, the Cactus Club started around 92, and we started playing there around 96.
Still, you were early on, and you were pretty regular mainstays.
We packed the club pretty damn good, and we made the thing about the Cactus is they said, you know what, we have people that pack the club as good as you guys, but we don't have to boot assholes. Like, it's rare that we get an asshole in the room. When you guys show up, people are drinking, people are happy.
Oh, it's always a party.
Great time. And they leave, and there's no fucking complaints. There's no lawsuits.
So, like what you were saying a second ago, though, about how all these things that happen to you, like in succession, right? I feel like what we try to do as people, and it might explain some of our other content around here, is we try to make meaning out of everything we see. Yeah. And so if a bunch of bad things happen in a row, we're going to generally attribute them maybe to other people out to get us. But the flip side of that is, if a bunch of good things happen in a row, we're just going to attribute that shit to ourselves. Thank you very much. Yeah. We've done a great job.
Yeah. I mean, I put it this way. I'm not the guy I'm not like, I'm not the guy that cuts in line in a soup kitchen. You know what I mean? Like everybody's getting a portion of the meal, and it's going to come at its own time. And mine might be colder than the guy three steps ahead of me, but we're all going to get fed in the end. Like, that's the way I look at it. Like, it takes a village. Shit takes time. Just sit here, let it marinate, let it do its thing. But when it's like, when you get snubbed by everybody, and I'm using the term snub very generally, because I don't think that anybody actively thought, like, fuck these guys.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
I don't have any beef with it.
What I was saying a minute ago is, like, if you got this band that's just been working, then they're just doing a show every 2 weeks or 2 times every 3 months or once a week or whatever it is. And so it's, and then all these other bands come back for an event. Yeah. Oh, it's so weird though. Like, I think like the way to do that is the person maybe writing the article is, you're like, hey, here's Monkey, they're headlining. Everybody knows who this is and why they're here and why they're headlining. Check out Monkey's website, and we're going to show you the other bands. Boom, you're done. You're out. You don't have to do nothing on Monkey. Like, you could do. You're lazy. You're copping out. You're done.
Now, I'll give them this. I don't constantly connect with Metro. I don't constantly stop by and bring.
I feel lucky that you show up on my show every Tuesday. You have other shit to do, man. You're an adult.
Yeah. But it's COVID. No, like I always give the benefit of the doubt that even though we're active, we're always in people's faces. That just that constant thread is desensitizing, and so maybe the reason why we're not getting covered by Metro is because I'm not there, like bringing them donuts and hanging out with them and buying them beers after work and that sort of thing. And that's because I'm a working stiff. Like I got to pay for my evil, right? And my evil is playing music. And so I play, sleep for about 20 minutes and then work, and then sleep for like 20 minutes and then play. So there's not a whole lot of time for me to do the like, hey, remember me? Like, I don't have that time, right? So I'm just like fucking plow ahead. And sometimes, I admit that lifestyle, at that pace, doesn't leave a lot for people to fall in love with you personally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I understand that as well as anyone else is. I feel like I'm driven in many of the same ways you are. Different mediums, but the same kind of like, no, I got to be putting out a quality product. People should enjoy the thing that I'm doing. I should do everything I can to steer that in this direction so that the people that are consuming it are enjoying it. Like,
and it shows.
And I don't care that I'm not getting like recognition. Like, it's not that big a deal. But if I'm doing something and people forget about me, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I understand.
Yeah. And to cap it all off, a friend of ours who's been alongside us and playing in bands and stuff, just wrote a book on ska. And from what I hear, the only people that have it are people that are, reviewers. And the reviewers have contacted me and said, "Why aren't you in the book?" And I'm like, so now we have a piece of nonfiction that doesn't include us as well. Yeah. Anyway, not to bring anybody down.
Well, I was gonna bring somebody up, man. I got this fucking song from John, man. Oh, your friend John is a project you're working on. It's Smoke+Mirrors Soundsystem, my man.
Oh yeah, John Roy. Yeah,
John Roy seems like a cool dude. We were trying to get him on here like in the evening, but
he is a cool dude. He's had the same this almost the exact same trajectory as us, which is do work, not be recognized, and then suddenly because of COVID, he's doing these alternate recordings with people from all points of the globe, and suddenly he's getting like international recognition, and it's like boom overnight. So
what's your part in Smoke+Mirrors Soundsystem?
Well, put it this way, it's John is as self-saturated in the project as I am with my own projects. So he is 109% of what Smoke+Mirrors is. I am the 1% over the 109. So I'm just doing like a couple of vocal tracks, and it's basically, he's like, look, I have a library of like 30 songs already. I've got about 25 more that I need to start recording. What do you want to be involved with? And I'm like, I'll be involved in anything. So I just finished a vocal track for one of his songs, and then he's got me on another vocal track that I got to finish up. Well, I had to finish up like 2 weeks ago, but he's like, whatever. and then I'm trying to get him to get me on there for some instrumentation as well. But he's very particular. He's very particular. Like,
I don't know. None of this sounds familiar to me at all. I've never experienced being anything like any of this.
Yeah.
Juan could attest. Dave is nothing like this. He's not particular about anything.
Yeah.
But no, it's good. I've been chatting John up a little bit, and he seems like a really like nice, smart dude. That like,
yeah,
it's good to know that guy.
He's absolutely wonderful. I did a tour as his keyboardist once a long time ago, and I barely could play compared to his keyboardist. Oh my God, his keyboardist is so unbelievably sick. But yeah, did a little tour with them, and I've been friends with him ever since. It's been a long ride with John.
This song is called Reasoning, and we've been playing the fucking shit out of this song on this channel.
Do it.
We'll be right back, everybody. Local love.
Woo!
There is violent depression of a protest in peace, in a time of aggression and a deadly disease. Will there ever be justice for the thousands of dead? There's no room for discussion with a gun to your head. Let your voice be your weapon. Let your shield be your words. Let there be no confusion. Let the people be heard. Full of hate with no reason. There's no light in their eyes, and their hearts have been hardened by a network of lies. Let your voice be your weapon. Let your shield be your words. Let there be no confusion. Let the people be heard. Let your voice be your weapon. Let your shield be your words. Let there be no confusion. Let the people be heard. Let your voice be your weapon. Let your shield be your words. Let there be no confusion. Let the people be heard. Let your voice be your weapon. Let your shield be your words. Let there be no confusion. Let the people be heard.
Told you all that song's the shit.
Holy shit, man. That's a jam right there. Jam. I love the message, though.
I think, Curtis, you might be
I
muted.
heard that message.
Yeah, there you go.
I heard the
Yeah.
message, though, brother.
He's insane. Lyrically, he's quite a wordsmith. He's got an incredible voice, and he has an understanding of music that not many people do. He's a saxophone player. In fact, a lot of Monkey's early tracks, he did the saxophone track for. So, in fact, I don't know if anybody remembers our second album, Station Wagon Living, had a song called Satellite. And the horn line was he stacked that 4 saxophones deep. just I mean, it's an enormous sound. Yeah,
he's like, you can actually turn it down, it's just not full enough.
Yeah. No, he's
3 more of that.
Yeah. His original band Unsteady is unfucking real. And he used to play with Donkey Show, which was a really big proto first wave of comeback of ska back in 88, 89, something like that. He played in Donkey Show with Dave Hilliard. Dave Hilliard went on to join Hepcat and then left Hepcat for the Slackers.
So Main Kathy just followed us, and she got a creepy kitty, but thank you for following us, Main Kathy.
Is that Maine like the number one Kathy, or Maine like she's in Maine?
She's in Maine.
Oh, okay. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy. Thank you for coming
Hey,
here.
Kathy.
I don't know if you're going to like everything that happens. That's not Tuesday, but on Tuesday you get to hear me say nice things about most people.
Indeed.
I haven't talked any shit tonight,
This has been
except
quite
to the people on the panel, but that's just fun. Juan.
Nice.
Juan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How can I help you?
Oh, you just haven't. You've been quiet lately. I think that's probably me and Curtis's fault.
Oh no, man. I just like to kind of just. It's like I'm on this virtual podcast, but I'm actually a listener. I love it. It's like
no, I'm listening to this show that I'm on. Shut
I'm
up.
listening to the show, man. I like it. No, but let me just say that with regards to whatever happened in 2019, I didn't even know, first off, and I'm sorry that all went down like it did. But I also think that, whatever the detours that happen in life, like, or musically, I think it's like opportunities. And like, I've seen it happens all the time, right, man? And I just think like your show and all that and what you're doing, it's like, that's huge. It's huge. And I think it's going to be a big boost to the local music community just as well, because you have a lot of musical roots, history, insight, I would even say musical education, some academia involved there. And I just think that's really exciting that you're doing this.
Hey, thanks.
And the fact that you're getting some like really big name guests, that's pretty freaking badass, man.
But here's the thing. We got super dark there, and let me tell you what my what I was trying to get at was my self-centered reason for doing the show. You want to hear more?
I think I already know it, but I couldn't put it into words. Let's see. You're a better wordsmith than I am, so let's see if we got the same one.
Musicians with ego?
Well, in a time when the music industry is doing fine, everybody's got an ego and everybody's got competition going on, right? But when there is no industry, people just want to talk. They're just like, I just miss being a musician. Someone wants to talk to me about being a musician. Yeah, I'm there. So I've been able to get these massive artists to join my show, and they bring their fans to look at my page and my dumb face for an hour. Great. And they walk away with the feeling of this is a funny, engaging experience. And so I've reached out to people that I obviously even people that I didn't have great relationships with, and instead of rebuilding some bridge or like asking for
of course I'm coming on your show,
that sort of thing, I'm literally just going, yeah, you want to do it? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, awesome. Bring your crowd. Bring your crowd, because
No, it's the same thing. I've gone on people's shows. They're like, "Oh, you shouldn't go on this show because of that this reason or that reason." I'm in a different space than you are, right? Like people might have ideological problems with me going on a show, but if I go on someone's show, man, I'm just trying to peel their audience off. And if they've got some shit wrong, I'm there to like push back and like maybe convince some of their audience that their host is wrong. It's a different thing. It's a different thing in the music scene, but you can put like things aside to entertain people together. You absolutely can. It's really important to be able to do that as an entertainer, no matter streamer, fucking concert violinist, ska band, funk band, DJ. You got to be able to put that aside and entertain people. Commentator, like you just got to be able to do it. It's important.
Yeah, exactly.
I think to circle back on what you're saying too is that about musicians just want to talk. I mean, I think this whole thing, like one group that has gotten really hit hard with this is the musicians.
Absolutely.
Because I don't think a lot of people really understand how difficult it is for musicians to function in society,
like a working musician.
Yeah, well,
that's my job is music.
But even people like me, who I'm in a band, is just like more of a hobby than anything else. But still, it's really disheartening to not be in a room with my guys jamming and creating music. And it's like one of those things that the average person who doesn't play music probably isn't that connected to, because they haven't really had that experience. I mean, they may have like hobbies themselves, but they might be more individual hobbies, whereas for musicians it's that moment of being together and working toward a goal and things like that it's the lifeblood of a musician, and that's what's been really difficult for what's been going on for the past year and some.
Well, Monkey, we've been practicing during this shutdown, not super actively, but like every couple of weeks. We basically do a week practice. We take a couple of weeks off just to make sure no one's got COVID. And then all of us get tested at our jobs, except me, because I don't have a job. I don't have a job that I go to. I'm literally at my house 24/7. So the conversation came up like, why are we even doing this? There's not even there's no show to do. And I'm like, well, it's obviously we're doing it because A, we love music, but B, and this is more important, that we are reaffirming that we are still alive, that you are still alive. I'm still alive. We're still brothers. We want to be in the same room with each other. And this affirms it every fucking time it happens. Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, I think the group has a deeper understanding of why we're there, why we dedicated our time to this, and it's eye-opening, and it's sometimes it can definitely get the feels going.
I think like the place that I'll cross over with the musicians here is, for me, it's just about the crowd. Like 100 people watching me DJ on a live stream is not like 100 people in a room, or 100 people on the Monopoly board in front of the Discovery. Oh no, that's 6,000 people in or around the Monopoly board. It just does. You can't. I could have 1 million people watching me live stream, and it's not the same as 1,000 kids in a dank warehouse like listening to me DJ. Sure. It just that a lot of people are listening, enjoying, but it's not the same as like being in the room with them. Or the field, or
I described this, or tried to describe this on the show, and I said, being on the stage is like it is like you imagine you got like a bunch of puppies, right? And they're just all doing their own thing. They're all blah, 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 like hobbling all over each other. If you can find a way to snap and make them all look at you, that's like you just threw a big ball to them and then they threw it right back at you, right? It's a reciprocal thing, right? So snap, they all look at you, lie down, they all lie down, and they're and you're like, awesome. So there's a treat and reward thing built into it. And I try to explain it to people that haven't been on stage in this capacity, that you take a ball and it's really small and it's awesome, and you throw it out, and then boing, it comes back. You're like, wow, that came back, and it came back with pep. That's awesome. Let me throw this ball again. Boom. And it comes back and it's bigger with more pep. And you're like, wow, that's cool. You throw it back and it's bigger. And you throw it back and then it comes back and it's bigger. And you're like, how many times can we do this? Like, this is awesome. Like, I want this to go on all night. And it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger till when it finally returns to you, the ball is so big that it's like a giant wall of Jell-O, and you just melt into it. And you feel the warmth. Your whole body is charged with it. And time slows down. You get all the classic, like, where am I? What is fucking happening? And I tell that story because I don't think that the average person who's not in a band, who's not expressive to that level, would understand why anyone would dedicate their fucking life to doing this when the rest of the 23 hours of the day sucks. Right? But I also tell this story because I'm like, are you a musician? Yes. Have you felt what I'm talking about? No. When you do, hold on to it because it's fleeting. It'll happen once, and it may not happen for another 10, 15 years.
You know, the other thing that's like missing, and maybe, I don't know, I think most, if not all of the other people on this are in a relationship. So maybe this other thing that's missing from the night is like, what's going to happen tonight?
Yeah.
Who am I going to meet?
Yeah.
Like that thing, like for us single folks out here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Or even just the camaraderie of the people that you see at
like,
live
who am
shows.
I? Yeah, even if you're already in a relationship, which of my friends are going to be at this event? Who am I going to see? Who am I going to have forgot about that I wasn't even thinking about that I'm going to see for the first time in 18 months tonight or 2 years tonight? Like,
yeah,
I can't count how many like amazing conversations I've had, outside of a club, any club, talking to someone who maybe I knew very little of, but we'd seen each other around or whatever. And you just get in these conversations, like sharing this thing that we have such a passion about, and being able to have those types of conversations is so life affirming.
Yeah. All the promise of the night is gone.
Yeah. Well, also consider this, like at the time when you were having all these conversations, they didn't mean as much to you as they do now.
That's how any good conversation is, though. Yeah. You may not even be aware how important it was until like a week later, a month later, a year later. Like you'll refer back to it when you need whatever you need from it, right?
Exactly. But I think COVID has exacerbated that. Like everyone is thinking about the best time they had out, the best show they went to, the best restaurant they went to, the best a random person that they hung out with for 15 minutes. They're like, this guy's totally gacked on blow, but I love him.
Dude, no, my story about that would have been, this guy's totally gacked on blow, and since I made friends with him, so am I.
So funny. But yeah, that those little moments that are just taken for granted, because especially when you're the guys on the screen right now, for people that are listening, we are champions of the local music scene.
Champions of the night, sir.
Champions of the night. So that means that in a bustling live non-COVID environment, we would be out at a club maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 times a week,
having fun, meeting new people, hugging your best friends, like hugging a new best friend you had you're going to forget about tomorrow, like all the promise of the night. And the COVID lockdown has taken away our ability to perform for people, to meet people, to have that romantic feeling of, reuniting with people and in front of a club under, gathering like moths under a light. It might be raining and it might be one of the only 7 people showed up as your friend who haven't seen in 2 years. Fuck, that experience is gone.
Yeah.
It's fucking, those experiences are magic. Or, you know, you get so drunk that you don't even know where you are and you have to like hobble home.
Right. Now you get so drunk you forget you're at home and you try to call an Uber, but you're already home.
No, now
where are you going to? Do you punch in your own address? They're like, what?
I actually have a funny story about that. I was working Lyft for a while just because I wanted to see what the whole thing was, right?
And this is a funny story about me.
No, not that one. But we can
don't tell that one. It's okay. It's played out.
Wait a second.
I liked that story before you told it. I'm a hipster.
I picked up a guy once, and he got into the car, and I said, "Cool. So you need to go to this location." He's like, "Nah." I was like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Just drive anywhere." Like, okay. And he was obviously high or something, but he was like kind of in a bad mood. And I was like, "Dude, I'll drive wherever you want." And he's like, pull over there. And I was like, "We haven't even gotten on the road." And he's like, just pull over there. I was like, okay. So we literally dove across the street and pulled over, and took a left, like in front of this building, and it was a liquor store. And he says, "Hold on." And he gets out of the car and he goes, "You want me to get you anything?" I'm like, "No, I'm your driver." Oh yeah. He goes into the liquor store, buys a pack of smokes, comes out, and he gets back in the car. And I said, "So where are we going for the rest of the night?" And he goes, "Take me home." Okay. And I literally drove a quarter of a block to his doorstep, and he got out of the car and he gave me a $5 tip.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we just need to see another human being and understand the human beings we've never met exist. And if that only happens when we're completely fucking wasted, then it's just like, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, you know?
Well, I think I look at it this way, like in that environment, he could either go on like fucking Grinder, Plenty of Fish, whatever the hell, and try to hook up with someone. But that takes too much. That takes too much time, effort, and then you gotta take a shower and prepare your mind for meeting someone and like having a deep intellectual conversation or whatever.
Hey man, right? I'm a fan of Grinder, and what I'm not looking for on there is a deep intellectual conversation.
I got enough of that. No, but and maybe this guy just needed to see that there was another human being. Period. And I was like, "Hey, I'll be your human being for like 5 minutes, but like at some point you're gonna have to get out of the car." You know? But by the way, the funny story was that I attended a show with FTB, and I was driving at the time, and the driver, the ride just happened to end in Mountain View, next to that fucking St. Patty's pub or whatever the hell the place that they played all the time. And so I showed up, and of course I drank a couple of sodas, and I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to start my driving now. So now that the show's over, and I don't want to get picked up by anybody that's at the show because they all know me, right? I just want to be incognito." So I drive about a mile away, and I'm sitting in the dark just waiting for the light to go off on the app, and it goes bing, and it's Dave. And I come back and I open the door, and he says, "Mind if I sit in the front?" I'm like, "Cool." And he's like looking out the side window. He's like, "Awesome bands tonight." Blah, 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 blah. And he's just going on and on. It's like, "I've had so much to drink. Yeah, my house is up here. How long you been doing this?" That's cool. That's cool. And then I drop him off, and I didn't say anything. I didn't say a word. I just dropped him off. He's like, "Thanks." And got out, and I drove on the rest of my night, and I was like, "I'm going to tell him one of these days." And I told him when it was live on the air. He had me on as a guest, and I told him to his face.
Oh, you know what's great is the first time you told that story, the funniest time, nobody was listening to us because we were just on like our own IceCast server that you had to connect to listen to a show.
Do you have it archived?
Yeah, of course. It's on our website. Come on.
Nice.
I'm that kind of person.
Nice.
Fuck. We should have been on Twitch at that time, but also I feel like we did a bunch of shit in that period that would have got us kicked off of Twitch.
Good times. Good times.
Juan,
And
Just,
Juan is
hey.
really quiet tonight.
Juan, do you have a favorite local love memory you'd like to share?
Man, there's so many. When PK came on and sang live, I thought that was pretty amazing performance. And I didn't realize this, but we recorded that event, and it came out pretty amazing, man. And I think that was one of the cool highlights of the early shows. Having PK on and doing that performance.
My favorite local love memory, I think, is Kenny Thomas the first time he came on, because I had no idea how to deal with Kenny Thomas. I think that's my favorite local love memory.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I know Kenny Thomas.
That's all right. We got John Renna in the chat. Oh, Kenny Thomas's music is dope, by the way. It's like this kind of like Southern funk.
Oh, I know the name. Yeah.
Kenny Thomas and the Southern Baptists.
Yeah.
The music is dope. We'll play that after this John Renna track. I see John Renna up in the chat, and he sent me a new track.
I did have one more memory to add, and that was all the people that were in the room in the early days. All those motherfuckers.
Dude, it did, like, there were a couple people that came over for the show, right? And they would just bring an entourage to my apartment. I mean, Juan's been in my living room. Curtis passed through it. You've been in my living room. My living room's pretty big for an apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there were fucking 20 people in my living room. I think it was fucking Mr. Smooth that brought his entourage.
He's rolling 20 deep.
Fucked up part is there were like 20 people in the living room listening to the show and like 4 people on IceCast. Like, that's like so funny. Kenny Thomas brought a bunch of people too, but they were cool. I don't know. Anyway, here's John Renna. This is One More Day by John Renna, and we'll be back in a little bit. We'll go a little over tonight. We don't have to go into red light right away. John Renna. That song was called One More Day. It was fucking lovely.
One more day. Love it.
Just another day.
So what's up, everybody? How you doing?
Man, I'm feeling fantastic. I'm here right now with my homies here on echoplexmedia.com. I'm sorry. I'm high as fuck right now.
You know what, Juan? Now that you're high as fuck, you bought a new piece of gear, and I'm going to tell you, your mic sounds exactly as the same as on your old piece of gear, but you should tell us about this new piece of gear you bought.
Well, unfortunately, it's kind of like going to be just set up for not so much podcast because there's some issues I'm not going to go over right now, but primarily my production is largely on Mac. As far as
you bought a new piece of gear, dude. I hate to cut you off and shit. I hate to be like an aggressive.
No, I'm getting
interviewer.
right to it. So here it is. It's a Antelope Zen Go.
Wait, you don't even have plugged in?
No, I'm still,
That's why he
like
sounds the same.
Oh,
exactly. No, just going to be using
just
it.
sung the praises of not buying that piece of gear if you sounded fine before.
Well, thanks, man.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just.
What is the piece of gear? What does it do?
It's just a new audio interface, a 2N2 audio interface. I bought it for the onboard internal effects. It has a DSP action going on it, FPGA processing, and the clocking is really good. It's a 64-bit base clocking, and the preamps and the converters are, I'd say, pretty stellar. And so far, doing my test on it because I just got it a couple of days ago, running some projects off of it on the Mac. It just sounds really good. And you can tell there's a little noticeable crystalline type of sound, higher end. I don't know if it's because of the converters or the preamps or whatever, but it's a decent price, man. It's like less than $5. I think it's $4.99. So it's that's what I got, and so I'll report later on after I dial it in because I just got it, and there's a couple of things I need to get familiar with, like the routings and such.
Oh, what's the
Sweet.
who's the manufacturer, and would you recommend it for me?
Antelope Audio, and I'd recommend you check out their website.
They have one with 16.
They I know they have one that does at least it's the Orion 32 and
They have 32.
64.
Is that how many grand it costs, or how many channels it has?
Channels, man. Channels. But check out, I'm high right now, so I can't go over all this shit.
No, I'm like messing with you by trying to like get you to recall facts. I thought you didn't notice.
Man, I'm just, like I said, I'm just
You're harshing his vibe, Dave.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay. Here it is in a nutshell. I'm just like happy to just do some music stuff and try to jingle some beats out, and at the same time
Speaking of
also
jingles,
get
you need to make us
online.
jingles.
What was that?
You said you were happy to jingle some beats out. Is that what you said?
Jingle some beats out. Just
Could
like
you make some jingles?
I could if you were to give me something. Give me a theme and I'll do it for
Jingle.
sure. Yeah, give me a theme. Like what
To the
Like,
theme
what do
of
you want?
Shaft. Some little
Shaft.
spitty synth going, little wah guitar.
There you go. But yeah, man. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just hearing this conversation, and I like what I'm hearing. I'm hearing like what Curtis is saying, and yeah, good shit. Totally awkward, good shit, but yeah, awkward, but really good.
Can I share? Can I share my purchase today? My purchase?
Yeah, go ahead. Like, Yeah.
So I got online the other day and I was like, okay, I need to up my game because Dave is giving me too much shit about my microphone.
Oh, did you buy something?
And so I'm like, do I buy one of these ridiculously expensive microphones or, that are already
Get an
set for
interface.
podcast?
You're in a band. You already have a microphone.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to get an interface, I already have an interface, but it's on an older computer that can't do what this computer can do as far as getting online. So now I'm like stuck in this like historical product zone, and I need to get into today's product.
We'll call it the historical product Neverland.
Yeah, exactly. It is Neverland. So I get on eBay, right? I'm just going to go for something cheap, right? And so I'm like looking at stuff, and then everyone's like, "Oh, Focusrite," and I'm like,
yes.
"Yeah, but Focusrite, it's always one or two inputs. Like I need like something."
I have 16 channels from them.
I want like a gigantic one, right? So
I have 16 channels from them, but it was $1,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they have something called the 18i8, and it's like 4 inputs on the front, like 4 full-on XLR inputs with mic preamps on the front, and then 4 inputs on the back, right? So it's a true 8 input, but only 4 of them get the mic pre and the 48 volt phantom power, right? So I get on and I'm like, okay, all of these are like in the, they're all used and abused, and they're in the $400 category, right? And like brand new, it's like a $700 piece, right? And I get on and I was like, oh, here's one that just that debuted a couple days ago. It doesn't have a lot of hits on it. I'll just like it and come back and check on it. So I get the email that says, oh, it's about to go and flip, right? It's about to end its cycle. So I get in 30 seconds in to the end, and I place a bid on it, and I got it for $130.
Fabulous.
That's
wow.
Yeah.
No, just like the thing is, like, you're on a Mac, and so that like makes things like a little more complicated, but just any modern piece of gear with like a place to plug your microphone in and a real mic, it's going to sound fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I kind of want to take it. Like I'm using this old Mac with. And
give it 6 weeks until we switch Curtis to Linux. He'll just buy like a shitty old laptop and do this on Linux. Give it 6 weeks. I'll send the Media Wench after Curtis. That'd be like Media Wench, be less nice. Berate Curtis until he does Linux.
Yeah, the best computing experience, and I know you're going to be like, what when you hear this, is the Google Chromebook.
No, it's quite good if all you have to do is like look at your shit.
Yeah, it's really good. It's like the fastest start and stop times. Like if you have to like oh, I got to restart my computer. It's like, boom. Boing. It's like that fast. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And,
especially if you're working with cloud applications, it's just
everything's cloud applications now. Like there's very rare do you have actual applications that you have to have on your desktop. So at this point, you don't need a computer.
Well, it depends what you're doing. Like I need applications running locally here to do this, but yeah. Like most people aren't doing like a science project and a live stream at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, and they're cheap. They're usually like 5 bones and fast as a whip. So. But then they get you on the Google Drive. You got to pay for the Google Drive at that point because you'll be living off of it indefinitely.
Oh, you're talking about like the storage you have to pay?
Yeah. Everybody gets like 20 gigabytes or something like that for free, and then once you exceed that, then you gotta pay the piper. But.
Mm-hmm. I have 2 terabytes from them, and it's like $9 a month. It's not like they're They're taking this massive amount of money. From me.
Yeah, they're cheap. They're cheap.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care. I just use it for like whatever I need it for. I was just like, I should get this much. It's cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I think though that I have a problem with pretty much all SaaS products. You know, the software as a service.
Echoplex Media, not software as a service.
No, I just come from the era where people, when you bought something, you actually bought something. It was physically yours. You know, I went in. I want to get Adobe Photoshop. You would go and get a fucking box that said Adobe Photoshop and
Chad is throwing tinfoil hats at the screen.
Yeah.
I just thought like, you know that. No, I don't know. I live in that world. It's just harder.
Yeah.
Like what Juan will tell you, I live in that world. I own all the hardware I have. Like the software I run doesn't belong to anybody because it's just like a bunch of dorks made it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I live in that world. It's just hard to live there. Things don't work right away. You got to go onto the forums to figure it out.
Yeah.
Roll your own, right?
Roll your own
your
streaming. Echoplex Media.
There you go.
But it also has a high like correlation with people who have not invented here syndrome. I don't know if you know what that is. I have the worst case of not invented here syndrome. If we didn't roll it ourselves, I just don't trust it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's something to be said for having control over it. For sure. I just don't like the idea of I'm reliant on somebody else's cloud, on somebody else's connection, on an application that's not living on my computer. That even though I bought it, I don't own it, and at any time they could just yank it away. Oh, it's no longer works with your level of computer. We've gone beyond it.
Oh,
what?
Yeah, I live in the other world. It's just harder to live here.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on subscription services where you're subscribing for everything?
I can tell you real quick. You've chosen to give them money.
Well, that's what we're talking about. That's called software as a service. It's making anything that's software you can make into a service. You make it into a subscription, so they can leech your wallet. Oh, this one's only $3. This one's only $7. Oh, but you got to have certain updates, and those updates will cost you another $15, but only one time. And then you do $1.50 added extra every month. It's like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah, I live on the other. I literally run this thing on a philosophy. The whole thing here is based on the all of the computing here exists on a philosophy that rejects that.
Yeah.
Like the software here, I don't own it, but somebody wrote it for free. All of it.
Yeah.
Except Discord. That's the only thing I'm running that people didn't write for free. So there's another way. It's just hard.
Well, it's you don't own it in the traditional sense that you paid for it, but it's yours. It's on your computers. There's not some guy that can just yank it. You know.
I mean, if he's smart enough and can break into my computer, they could, I guess, shut my show down.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
but,
there are people out there that can do that, but it doesn't matter.
But the flip side of that is it's harder. It's just straight up harder to live on the other side of that dynamic.
Yep. It used to be easier. It used to be that you could go down to Fry's and look at all the pretty boxes and choose the box that was not as expensive as the other box and go, well, maybe I can get the plugins later. But not anymore. Not anymore. It's all stupid.
I think it's easier to be on the open source side now than it was to be on the Windows side 20 years ago. But I think everybody's gotten so used to everything just working that even the minor inconvenience stops them from engaging in their software interactions in a way that values their freedom and their autonomy. This is the shit I don't talk about. This is some philosophical fucking open source shit I don't ever talk about. I haven't probably talked about this in fucking 3 years on the air. But legitimately,
where on the doll did they hurt you?
No, nobody hurt me. But legitimately, 20 years ago, it was way harder to use commercial software than it is right now to use non-commercial software.
Facts.
Yeah. You had to fucking learn things. And there wasn't a YouTube video for everything.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I like think that folks should generally abandon commercial software. Generally, I don't think they have to. I ain't that mad. But I think they should.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some things that they just don't make a non-commercial. I mean, although like Linux has like what's GIMP or whatever for Photoshop, but it's still not the same.
No, it's not as good. Like,
yeah.
No, I don't mean like you shouldn't ever use commercial software if you have work to do. I just feel like the bias in the way that you use your computer every day should go the other way. So like, okay, sure, I have to install Windows on a computer to use Photoshop to do my job. But otherwise, I'm like browsing the web. Why am I using Windows? Like, I feel like it should just go the other way. That's all.
But like you said, I mean, the other way is it requires a little bit more work, and not everybody has the patience or skill to overcome some of those hurdles to make open source software function on their machine.
I mean, I'm clearly a genius, and look at all this shit that I've put together. I mean, come on, dude. I'm like not that much smart. I can't possibly be like some kind of fucking super genius, fucking galaxy brain mother. No, I think that like people are just trained to use other tools, and that's just what they use. And
there's
they get good
certainly
at those, they get good at those other tools. Anyway,
there is
whatever.
Certainly that.
Whatever. I don't preach open source on this show enough, but this is why you tune into Local Love. We're not getting out of here, but we're going to cut this podcast off. So, podcast listeners, check out all our shows. You can just search Echoplex Media in your podcatcher of choice. Subscribe to this one if it's the first time you ever listened to it. Although, if it's the first time you ever listened to it, you didn't listen to the very end. Follow us, twitch.tv/Echoplex Media, and give us money. You go to echoplexmedia.com, hit the support tab, and there'll be all the ways to give us money. And we'll be right back with the after show. This is The Road by the Poppy Jasper Band.
Suitcase that I call home, into my dear Ophelia, I'm sorry left you all alone, but that tune burns bright in my eyes, such a long way to go. The road straight ahead will take me where I need to go. I need to go to my sons and daughters, yeah, strangers I've met on this road. There's a price to pay. Your guitar is the only thing you own, but that fire burns bright in my eyes, such a long way to go. I'm hopeful the road straight ahead will take me where I need to go. I need to go. straight ahead will take me where I need to go.